All right. Joel, welcome back to the second podcast of Vulnerable.
Feels good.
Doesn't it feel good?
Today's startup went a little bit smoother.
Oh my
A
gosh.
little bit smoother. You wasn't walking around like in a bad mood and
Yeah, like I told you before the pod, I started to literally hate this place. Like every time I pulled up, what can go wrong today? What can happen and what can go wrong today?
I mean, it was still not a totally smooth, but it was about 80% smooth.
Okay,
Yeah, 80%
making drinks, talking, and
You peeing, me peeing.
Yeah. You want another?
We got all that shit out of the way. We're good.
You want another topper on your drink? Well, we might as well. We've been staying here for an hour. So, no. So if everybody's seeing this, you've probably seen the first episode. It was majorly introduction to Joel and his background and what he brings to this table, literally, and what our goals were, what vulnerable is, what age over inches was, and now vulnerable.
Yeah.
But now we're done with introductions. Now we're trying to get into the meat and potatoes. And actually, I hope that we have enough time because we're only going to try to run.
I've been kind of carb free lately, so I haven't had a lot of potatoes. So I'm good for some potatoes.
What? Was that like a Justine joke? I didn't get it. What does that mean?
Potatoes are all carbs.
What did I say that made you say
You said we're into the meat and potatoes.
Oh, I got you. Yeah,
Kind of been carnivoring it lately.
I looked at Joel like a couple weeks ago, and I said, "What do you do?" Like, because I'm like 32 and I feel fat, and I look at him, you're 58, and I'm like looking pretty fit. I'm like, man, Corey, you need to do better in life. Yeah, I know.
No carbs.
Starburst or those carbs?
Tito's is gluten free, baby.
Is it?
Yep.
What do you mix with it though?
I kind of mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, you mix it up a little bit.
It's always zero something.
Gotcha.
You know, it's like a orange drink or
yeah.
So
yeah. So we want to make the podcast 1 hour long. We don't have a structure. They were just telling me today that I meant to send it to Chris because Chris is like I said in the first episode, Chris runs our videos. He runs the soundboard. He makes sure everything is running smoothly. And I accidentally sent the group text, and Joel just told me he was thinking about it all day. But I have some subjects I want to touch on. We probably won't even get through all of them.
And another sidebar. I think we need to get Tito's as a sponsor.
Yes, I know.
We do.
Yes.
I have that sign over there. We could hang that
Put it right there.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Hey, they're from Texas, and you're going to be at Texas, so
are we going to be at Texas, or am I going to?
We're going to be in Texas. Yeah.
Is this like Joel's had a couple drinks, I'm going to go to Texas, or is this like
I haven't looked at my calendar yet, and I'll see if there might be one weekend that's open in Texas, and hopefully, or that's open in May, and hopefully it's that weekend.
Can I introduce why we're going to Texas? Can I tell a little bit about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Joel and I have a product line potentially. We're still working on everything. We're working on about 5 different product lines. It's called Rack Rage. We're looking at feed, supplement, and attractants, and then other products. The other products are what's more important, in my opinion. We believe in the feed right now. We need to test it. We're not going to put anything out there unless we test it, but we're going to use his knowledge and a guy named Greg Pollard, who is a consultant for Alltech down in Texas. So I spent probably 40 hours on the phone with Greg. Never met him face to face, so that's why I want to go to Texas.
Gonna go meet him.
Yeah, Greg.
So when you do it all the time for a living, you kind of know what works, what don't work. I see lots of different products that, people pull into my locker room. They're like walking Cabela stores and stuff, and you kind of see it all.
We're not trying to be that, right?
Basically then if you see it all, an avenue to go to what works.
Yeah, what works and what doesn't
work.
Yeah. So there's a lot of testing that's to come. My biggest goal is I'm not worried about the feed, supplements, and attractant side. I think who's making our feed is going to be up and running June 1st, which is kind of late. Is that kind of late?
If we're putting in stores, that's about the limit of what we want. Yeah, so hopefully things are no issues and they're ready to roll.
Yeah, because I'm not putting out shit. That's one thing. We've talked about the ingredients. You know the ingredients. You obviously love the ingredients, right?
Yeah. Yes.
It's going to be premium.
Yes.
We're going to start out at premium, and then we're going to work our way down to non-premium. Everybody has a budget. Everybody has an amount of time they put in. But the more exciting thing is the product side. The product side is, I think...
Yeah. Very exciting.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about that later.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that till it's ready. I don't want to, because if it fails, I don't want to be like, we offered something that it didn't work. So, no, good. So today I wanted to talk about
Yeah, what are you springing on me today?
Yeah, springing. Well, messed up with the text
He
message.
did mess up.
Yeah, I was supposed to send the text message to Chris. I sent it to our group chat, but Joel's like, I've been thinking about it all day. It's like CrossFit. If you send it to me in the workout, I'm gonna fucking
Yeah.
CrossFit up.
No, I got 150 wall balls I got to do today
He's
or
like,
some shit.
I'm skipping that
my
class,
God.
right?
Yes,
So
that's true.
we are in, the date today is April something. 16th. Chris?
Yeah, 16th.
So Joel, let's ask it this way. You're an outfitter bringing in 50 hunters. You're getting ready for next season. What are the things you are doing today? Like, what are the topics? I mean, what are the things you're focused on right now? And I'll write them down. Then we need to break down every topic.
People, I'm done. Our season, we have a pretty long season in Ohio. It goes till the first Sunday in February. I think they added several years ago, they added a week on both ends, just try to extend the season. People are always said, aren't they shed by then? I mean, you might have a couple shed, but for the most part, our deer end of February through March is most of our shed. So as it starts getting, if the freeze, the ground starts thawing, ground's getting thawed, and freeze is leaving the ground, end of February, March, we'll start getting all of our mineral sites up and going. When a deer's lost his horns, he is starting to grow them back. I have a couple cameras out for turkeys right now, and I'm seeing some nubs that are an inch. Oh yeah,
You're already seeing nubs?
yeah. There's some an inch and a half.
Can you tell what deer it is by the nubs?
No. And they're real ugly right now. They're coming out of their winter coats, and they're pretty scraggly looking. Yeah. They're coming out of their winter coats, and Ohio weather doesn't know if it's fucking summer or fall or winter or what day it is. I mean, it could be 75 and then it could be 23 that night.
Right.
So basically, I mean, I know you have delved into everything about a deer and his stomachs and his everything and what they're lacking and so whenever a deer is starting to grow his horns, there are certain things that they need,
right?
Certain minerals they need. A doe is, starting to get somewhat into her pregnancy, and there's just certain things that they need mineral-wise. So we basically currently do our own mixture of all the different minerals, the zinc.
Yep.
The trace minerals, the everything. There's about 6 or 7 different things. I think we throw a little molasses in it just for smell purposes. But most of my mineral sites are established. And I'll go in and I don't like them. So deer like dirt. Deer like dirt. They eat dirt. So people ask, are they going there? Are they eating the minerals? Do you know that?
Yeah.
So whenever
I mean, I know that when I put
whenever I helped somebody that had raised deer. If a fawn was born and if a mom had triplets and she couldn't take care of all 3 of them, you'd sometimes snag one. You'd give them water and dirt. They eat the dirt.
So I mean, is that why when you walk up on a mineral site that's been there for a year, 6 months, and
that far in the ground?
Yeah.
So whenever I go in February or March, I really don't like mine. So if we'll talk about picking sites, if you're picking a mineral site, you just want high deer activity areas. I kind of like staging areas. So if you've been on that farm for a long time and that's where deer come out or whatever, especially if it's going to be a bean field or whatever, I kind of will go back in the timber where the deer staging areas where they come out. It's a great way to inventory deer, inventory all your deer. But I will, if it's a mineral site that has been there year after year, I will I guess I'll go back to when I first did the mineral site. I'm usually about a 3-foot circle, and I kind of get everything out of it, all the roots, all the everything, and I'll probably turn the dirt, that far
How do you do that?
with a shovel, with a
You
shovel.
just work the dirt.
Yeah, I work the dirt roughly a couple feet down in a 3-foot circle. I will turn the dirt over and over and over and over. And then I'll probably do, if I have a gallon to a gallon and a half of the stuff we made, I'll carry in my backpack roughly a gallon of our pre-made mineral. I'll sprinkle it on the site, and then I work the dirt back over.
Gotcha.
So that's what I do.
I want to back up the staging area. You kind of explained it. What's a staging area? How do you find it?
So other words, if you're ever there at that location and you see where deer are coming out of bed and they're kind of a staging area, I mean, no matter what time of year it is, deer kind of just lag in the timber till it's a certain time, and then they head out to the fields. So I kind of like to be where you see all the deer come out of the fields. I like to be, 20, 30 yards in the timber, and then you're getting their pictures on my camera an hour, hour and a half before dark, plenty of time before dark.
So does the staging area change based off the wind direction, or does the
No.
So they always want to enter, or they always want to stay in the staging.
Deer, they know it's summertime. They're relaxed. They're more relaxed. I mean, just.
So that was a report. I can't remember who came. You and I discussed this a couple of years ago. A report came out that deer can literally feel when.
Oh, guarantee it.
Guarantee
it. There's a velvet deer, and then there's a hardhorn. Yeah, they rub the stupid off their horns.
Okay, so that's what I was kind of, the question is do deer know when they're being pressured or hunted, or the human activity goes up?
Correct. That's the human activity goes up. Yeah, human activity goes up.
There's a difference between
everybody's out there trimming their tree stands and doing this and that, and yeah,
they start to feel that.
But the mineral site is. So whenever I go, if it's an existing mineral site, and I go back in there in February or March, and if it's a big old deep hole like what you just said, I will usually rob stuff from the outside and bring it in and try and bring it back up, because I really don't like mine holding a whole lot of. I don't like mine holding water. Yeah, I don't. Granted, they will drink the water just because the minerals are in the water, but I try to make mine that they don't, and I put mine in locations that they don't hold water.
So if you're new to a property and you don't know the staging areas, what are you going to do then? Because no mineral, or mineral is better than no mineral in my opinion.
So, in kind of a rule of thumb, you just got to know how many deer's on your property, but kind of a rule of thumb is every 80 or 100 acres. So in other words, if I have a 400-acre property or something, there might be there might be a mineral site over here, a mineral site over here. You just kind of...
they'll find it.
Yeah, they'll find it, but you also try to do this deer group, just try and have, but you'll have them on multiple mineral sites.
Yeah.
But the amount of activity at your mineral sites depends upon what your dirt holds on that property. So, in other words, if all of the dirt on that property is lacking, if that deer's lacking in stuff, he's going to pound your mineral sites.
So if you have a rich soil,
if you have a good soil and they're getting everything somewhere else, if they're getting things off that property, those mineral sites don't get hammered.
Is there a way to test?
I'll have giant bucks, and they might hit a mineral site once a month.
Okay.
And then you have other places where they might hit the mineral site every day, every other day.
Is there anything a hunter should do to?
So a deer. So basically, the dirt thing comes into a deer will have. We see the same thing. We see the same thing with our dog. Your dog goes outside and he starts eating grass, or he starts eating this or that to help settle their stomach. So a deer has problems or parasites or whatever. The dirt they eat and everything helps soothe
Sure.
and take care of their stomachs.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you're looking for a property and you're talking about mineral sites specifically, should you be looking? Here's my question. Do deer hold up in the summer and the
So I like.
can I?
Yep,
I
go
gotta
ahead.
finish the
Yep, finish.
finish the question.
Yep.
Joel and I have a bad habit of
We do.
finishing. We finish each
do.
other's
I
sentences.
think I know what you're going to say.
I know
and
you
I just
do.
try to cut you off and
No,
finish, but you go ahead.
you know exactly what
Yeah.
I'm saying. And when we traveled up to Baltic, Ohio, just a couple weeks ago, Joel and I's conversations, if somebody would have been in the vehicle, it'd have been like sentence cut, answer, because that's how we talk, and we have a bad habit at that. That's
Go-
okay
go
though,
ahead.
because we always know.
But
My que-
podcast-wise, we need to let each other.
yeah, we need to let each other talk. Here's the question: if I was to get a new property,
Yep.
or I was looking for a new property and the soil was really rich, is it going to hold more deer in the summer and the early fall than a poor soil property, or is it more about
Water.
More about water.
Yeah. Around here.
Yep.
I mean, our deer, because we'll get dry in July and August, and deer are where water is.
Do you feel like deer are traveling from the water sources to your mineral sites far distance?
I mean, I try to put if I have water, my mineral sites is near food/water.
Okay.
That's where they are.
So you're trying to create like a triangle: water, food, and the mineral.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Yep.
So, trying to go back to new hunter versus even good tactics. So, kind of recap, you were looking for staging areas. We're looking to turn the dirt, what did you say, 18 to 24 inches?
A foot.
A foot?
2 foot.
And
Yeah,
you're-
I mean, I'll just put my shovel down as far as I can. Roots. There's always roots. I'll cut roots out of there and stuff so I can get my shovel down and just kind of work the ground real good.
Is there a negative? Because I'm sure there's guys out there, they got 100 acres to hunt and they're putting out 4 mineral sites per. Is there a negative to that?
No, there's no negative.
Because
to
you've got
that.
cameras
Yeah,
up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're
So
saying
usually if I go into a mineral site and it's a new mineral site on a new property like we're kind of talking about, and if it is demolished and it's like been used and it's that deep already, odds are it's a dozen does or a doe group that pounds it. If it's one that's just kind of been hit just a little bit, it kind of seemed like a buck group is taking it over.
Gotcha. A
Yeah.
bachelor
Group or something.
Joel,
Well, there's nothing better when you get a bachelor group to take over. Yeah.
what is a bachelor group? What is a bachelor group?
A bachelor group is just a group of bucks that get together for the summer, and there'll be, for the most part, year and a half olds will kind of stay with their family. I feel stay with the family group. Follow me, like a group of a mom with her generational, her new babies, her 6 months old, and it seems like the button bucks and the year and a half olds might still hang with family group, and then a bachelor group might be 2.5s and older.
So when I see, usually, this is my perspective, and
Yep.
I could be wrong.
Yep.
When I see a bachelor group of bucks in the summer or early fall, it's usually one mature good buck, and then there's a bunch of little ones with it. Is that a good perspective?
Yeah, I mean,
Or does that not mean anything?
that's just kind of that's the inventory of that farm.
Gotcha.
I mean,
so are you saying those bachelor groups are related or not related? Could they be related?
They got to be related somehow, some way.
Okay.
I mean, because you got a doe group over here, a doe group over here, a doe group over here, and somewhat related. But with that said, if you have a property and you try to, I get this is kind of moving off subject or whatever.
No, go ahead.
But
Go
if
ahead.
if I have a 150 acre property and you try to save deer, and and you have 3 or 4 3-year-olds that are becoming 4-year-olds, and they just become different animals from 3 to 4, and that property might just. I guess what I'm trying to say is everybody, a 4 or 5-year-old, he wants to be the king of his zip code.
Okay.
He wants to be the king of his zip code. So if you, at 3 or 4, if he left and found a different zip code, he might stay at that zip code.
Yep,
You
yep.
know?
So
Because there's a lot of times where I lose them for 3 years,
And then they come back.
and then they come back home. Yeah, you lose them for 3 years. So he might be the king of his domain over here for 3 years, and then somebody else becomes the king of that domain, and he comes wagging home, defeated or whatever,
Yep.
looking for mom.
So I wanna kind of bring this up. Like mourning doves always nest in the same nest every year, right? Like I think, right? Mourning doves do. Maybe that's a Chat GPT question. I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to correlate this. So mourning doves will always come back to nest where they made a nest, and like generational nesting.
Okay.
My question is do mature bucks?
No, we're very kind of follow the crops around here. If there's lots of, so if these deer are on a farm and if it's a bad black fly year, bad mosquito year, and the woods are covered, once the crops get up this high, they're covered, they're getting the hell out of the woods, and and our deer just go live in the standing corn and the soybeans.
Really?
Yeah.
So
they vacate the timber.
So you could have what you think is a good group of bachelor groups, or I'm sorry, a good group of bachelor bucks.
Yeah, and I could have them 1 year, and then they're not there the next year.
Or even within the same year, potentially, depending on the.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean they're like, hell no, this sucks. Let's go over
Correct.
here.
They could be on me when it's wet and luscious because my property doesn't have a creek on it or something, and then it kind of gets dry or whatever, and they could vacate me and the bachelor group, be living.
Really?
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: if they have,
I mean, when we talk about this might not be everywhere, but this is in my situation.
I know that people talk about that, and Greg Pollard is an all-tech consultant. I never finished that. Greg Pollard, all-tech consultant down in Texas, 1,600 acres. He manages 1,600 acres. He's becoming a good friend of mine via phone calls. A guy I rely on. He's very intelligent, Joel. You're gonna love him. He is kind of talking to me about the same things, and so what he said was, even though people talk about deer in Texas versus Alabama versus Ohio, deer somewhat follow the same traits.
Deer.
Yeah. That's his point. And so everybody's like, well, your feed worked up in Ohio. I'm just using that example. Your mineral worked up in Ohio, but it didn't work down. No, deer are deer, right? They may have different food sources.
Food preferences from what they're used to.
Yes. Yeah. So if you're giving them something that they're
somebody might plant a turnip patch or radish and turnip patch, and if your deer have never seen a radish and turnip patch, they're gonna it's gonna be like, what the hell is that? And
really,
they might not.
So I'm wrong on that. I thought it would be the opposite. No. I thought if they didn't have it, they would.
Sometimes we've done sometimes, if we do 50% fall plots or whatever, it's sometimes if they haven't seen it, it might take them a year to use to it.
Really? Yeah. I wouldn't have thought that. I would have thought they would want what they don't have.
Now, I'm saying, though, as far as when it's first planted and it's August, September, October, and, if you had a good rain and they're nice and up and tall and the leaves, and when the leaves get that first frost and start turning a little color or whatever, they do like that. Yeah. They like the sugar. They like the sugars in it. So, because all the sugars from the beets and everything go up to the top.
Yep.
They like the sugars.
So I want to go back to the mineral sites. My question is if I lose them, say I have them, have them early summer, I lose them, is that in the back of their mind? Are they going to potentially, during the rut, or, does any of that matter? Am I going to get them back at all? Or are they gone? I mean, that's kind of my question. Or is it just like you don't know the answer because it's like they do what they want?
They do. They kind of do what they want. I mean, a mineral site is, I like to, if I do it in February, March, and I don't have a camera on mine immediately, because I really
What's immediately?
I can't tell who is who until about June. About June time, I can start seeing, that's Larry, and that's, I can start telling who's who. So about June is when I'll put a camera. But anytime I go in there, I like to try and freshen them up 3 or 4 times a year.
Okay. So
in other words, if I go in and I put the camera up, I don't do a full gallon, but I'll do like a Folgers coffee can or something.
Gotcha.
I will do like a coffee can size, refreshen it, rework it up, pop my camera up.
So if you start that in February or March, if you're starting, did I get that right? You're
Yes.
starting, okay. If you're
Yep.
starting that in February, March, kind of walk us through that refresh timeline. I mean, how often are you?
So
Give us some months.
So if I'm doing it three times, if I do it in February, March, and then I'll, the end of May or something, I might go in, freshen it up, and then June, I might then be doing my camera, and then end of July, August, or whatever.
Yep.
If I'm changing batteries or whatever, then I'll freshen it up again.
So unless you're hanging stands or doing something trimming, and that kind of overlaps. I don't want to get into that yet because I want to stay on mineral. But I was going to talk about footprint, right? So you're putting them in February, you're putting them in March. You're not running cameras yet. You
Nope.
go back and run cameras when? Sorry.
About June the teens or something. I'll
June
get all
the
my
teens.
cameras up.
So what is the date if you have them? Okay, June, July, August. I'm terrible at months, by the way. I'm stupid when it comes to that. June, July, August, September, October. If you have them on camera, still in velvet towards the end, do you feel confident that they're going to be in that area for an early season hunt when the outfitters or when your hunters come in for your outfitting business? If they're
No, that's a.
rub out, they're gone. They could be.
I mean, that's a cross your fingers thing. I mean, so you just hope to get them hard horned. If you have them, if they rub out and I got them hard horned, then I start thinking about hunting that deer.
So
for my opener group.
You're saying that you could be mineraling, putting, I don't know that word.
I mean, just because I put mineral out for animals to get good horn growth and healthy does, that doesn't mean that I'm hunting that deer. It's just.
So you're putting mineral out, and what percentage of those deer that you're like excited about actually stay on the property or around the property?
I mean, that's not saying if there is a big deer there on my mineral site that he doesn't. I mean, from my business and I have multiple properties, I might have him on a mineral site here, and then I might have him show up on a property 2 miles away.
After rub out or?
Correct.
Okay.
After rub out.
So do you strategically place your parcels kind of like that to kind of?
I mean, no.
It's just
that's
kind
just
of
a roll of the dice.
It sounds like
That's a roll of the dice.
So I know I'm putting you on the spot with this question, but I'm hoping to get some kind of answer. If we are seeing great bucks, we're seeing bucks on mineral, and it's June, July, August, and then September they start to rub out. What percentage are still there come opener? Any percentage to that at all? I mean, is it 50%?
It's 50-50.
50-50.
50-50.
50-50.
Yeah. And I mean, this year I probably had 2 or 3 big ones that rub out. I might get a crack at them through October the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and then they're gone.
And then they're gone.
Yeah. And then they're gone. But them could also be properties that I have neighbors that I start seeing neighbor activity, and then they're gone. Don't know whether it's me or what, but they're gone.
So it sounds like you are only visiting those, and this is where cell cams come into, right?
Correct.
I mean, because
so we're gonna kind of pimp that out right now, anyway. So I really like the
I like that. Pimp that out.
The new Tactigam 3s that I used this year. So I don't know if you can see it or not. It's on the tree right there.
Yep.
Oh yeah, you can.
Oh yeah, you can see it.
So I am where I live. Like there's multiple good places of multiple cell phones. Like here might be T-Mobile, here might be AT&T, here might be Verizon, here might be, and so I would have cameras written on the back of them whenever I initially did my package. This might be an AT&T camera, this might be a Verizon camera, this might be the new Tacticam, it does not matter. You turn it on and it searches for the best signal in that area.
Moultrie's the same way. Now
it is.
yep.
Yes.
So
I mean, and I will then, once it's on and working, then I've gone on and looked at it on the site, and it'll be like US Cellular. And I didn't even know that that was a thing.
Right, right. Yeah, so for Christmas, I got 10 cell cams this year for Christmas because that's all I ask my family. Every year, my grandma, my grandpa, mom, dad, they always ask me. I said, load me up with cameras. And the cheap ones that did the multi, like you're talking about, Joel, was the Moultrie Edges. And they do the same thing. So I got him a couple for Christmas. And
That's huge.
Yeah, it's huge.
I mean, because I have some places where AT&T is way better than the Verizon
Right.
and the. Now I still have places where in the timber when the leaves are on, it doesn't or nothing works.
Yeah.
So if I have places that I know I'm going to have good deer, and I'm going to struggle with a cell camera, and I don't want to go in there, especially if there's a really big deer, I will probably just put a Reconyx on the tree with a card and let it roll.
Just run it.
Yeah, just let it roll.
Just run it.
Yeah, yeah. And then it's like Christmas when you go pull the card.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I was all year.
Yep. Chris.
I mean, you two are going to talk for a second because Joel's going
Yeah.
to the bathroom.
Yeah. Chris, God, I hate that we don't have a fucking camera on Chris. I hate
know.
that. I hate that so much. Chris, we're gonna get you a camera.
It's a work in progress.
I'll get it.
Okay.
I'll get it ordered. Joel, I'll get it ordered tonight, tomorrow. Anyways, I don't know how anybody doesn't have a camera on somebody like you because you're how important to this conversation. I mean, you are.
Right.
I mean, he's
agree.
making a face. Everybody, he's like making a Chris Murphy face, So, no, we need to. I mean, Joel just said things to me that I've never considered when it comes to mineral.
Oh yeah, that blew me away. I mean, I've never really jumped into the mineral game that much. So
Yeah. Do we need to follow up on some questions? Because I mean, high level, Chris, I'm thinking, okay, staging areas, water, food, mineral. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we're thinking 1 per 100 acres is probably okay, right? But he said more's okay if you got the money, if you got the time, and you got the cameras. And it also sounded like he did not come into that property unless he's refreshing or checking that entire from March till.
yeah, it just keeps the pressure low.
Yeah. No, I mean, I understand
scent,
that.
the footprint. I mean,
One of the
that's what I'm
things,
catching out of it.
one of the things I wanted to check with him on, and by the way, I wanted you to tell me the time. When did we start this, or where are we at?
We're at 37 minutes.
37 minutes. Man, that's going by quick. Holy shit. We're still on mineral.
Yeah. Well,
Damn,
I think we're really hitting the targets we discussed. I mean, we're hitting all targets.
Well, we're not. I mean, we're mineral. We are doing what we said. We're going to do
Right.
elementary to PhD.
Yeah.
I mean, so Joel, while you're in the bathroom, I hate to repeat it again, but we said, so dig up a foot, staging areas, food, water, mineral, 1 per 100 acres. You can have more if you have the money, the cameras, whatever. We're kind of hitting highlights here.
But when you have, when you put the essential 6, 7 ingredients in your thing, and so everybody understand when they're what?
There's a lot more than from my side and your side. I know what you're
There's
doing,
roughly seven things.
but when I talk about
Zinc.
when I talk about mineral, there's mineral for. I think about does. I think about
yeah.
I'm going across the board.
But
That's
I'm saying my 7 or 8 ingredients that we put in there and we dump in the ground, when they are pounding it, they are minus something.
What do you mean?
When they are pounding and using that mineral site, they are using it because they are minus something.
They're coming to the mineral site because they're missing something in the
Correct.
dirt.
They're missing something in the dirt that they are getting on that property, and so they are visiting your site to get what they are missing.
Yes.
Because whenever I helped a person that raised deer, and you see deer walking around if there's 10 does in the breeder pen, and they all have bald spots on them because they're walking around eating the hair off of each other, that's selenium. They're minus selenium.
Gotcha.
They get selenium from the hair.
Who were you dealing with on race? I've never known you to deal with anybody on raised pen deer. Just to clarify, I want to clarify this before we go further. Joel
We
is
don't need to talk about that because I did not like it. So
no, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Joel's outfitting business is 100% free range, no high
correct.
fences.
That was just a
Yeah.
that was just a friend that was raising some deer, and I was helping him, and that was it.
Yeah,
No, I'm 100% wild, bro.
because listen, there'll be people on the internet that'll be like, "Oh yeah, Joel Snow kills those," because they're that's the negativity I'm talking about.
100% wild.
Say it again.
100%. I mean, I'm not talking.
You've never killed a deer in high fence, right?
I'm not talking about a fence on 3 sides. I'm talking about no fences.
Yeah, you have never killed a deer with one fence. I mean, well, I'm talking like a farm
I mean, there
fence,
might be
but
a
yeah,
4-foot
yeah,
barbed
yeah.
wire fence that I snagged my nutsack on or something. But
when you're stepping over the farm, you're like, "Fuck these cows." You know? No, so I wanted to go. I think we need to back up again because once again, we're trying to do elementary through PhD. I want to back up one more time. Mineral site, you walk up on it, you find the perfect spot. You're 30 yards in, roughly. I mean, I know every situation.
I got some on the edge.
You got some on the
I got
edge?
some on the edge.
Like edges in being in the woods or out of
I
the
mean,
woods.
you just don't want the farmer spraying the field and spraying your mineral site.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And the deer like the shade, so they might be hanging out for an hour in the timber before they walk out to the. So you're.
I probably don't have to be this precise, but I'm trying to give people when they're standing in the woods, you know, I want them to feel confident about what they're doing. So I've seen some of your pictures. Some of your pictures have been the grass ways or the gaps between the field and the woods. You know, those are easy, right?
Yeah.
You ride up on a 4-wheeler.
Yeah.
You ride up. Because why do you ride up on a 4-wheeler, Joel?
I mean, do we need to? I'm a very. I mean,
Tell them.
As I get. In the summer, I don't think it matters much. In the summertime, I walk just because I'm getting old. I'm 58 and my exercise. So I used to ride a 4-wheeler everywhere. Now I kind of walk. But I mean, but as far as hunting wise, we are like a 0-step people. We do not like stepping on the dirt.
That's what I want to make a point of. So if you feel confident about farmers.
I'll ride my 4-wheeler right to the spot, do my work, and drive off.
Yeah, I think it's becoming kind of a new thing, and I think Tim Woods, Whitetail Properties, even bought a electric bike, right? Did he get an electric bike?
Yep. Tim rides an electric bike.
Because it's, you know, the less footprint, the better. They know tire smell on the road, right? They don't get concerned about that.
No.
Now, footprint, they will get concerned about. So, like electric bikes, 4-wheelers, golf carts, anything you can do to reduce, I literally call it just like one step. So if you, like when Chris and I were in Urbana, I wouldn't, you know, I took a trick out of your book. You taught me this. I climbed down the running boards and into the bed. I don't step off the damn truck and I'll spread and I'll have him pull forward and, you know, when, you know, because I don't want to put one foot on.
No.
If I can't put a foot on, I don't want to do it. Right. Chris, you know, the situation that I'm talking about is that Joel, I'm not asking him to be precise, but you know, if you have a grass line that a farmer has to leave 10 yards, you're going to use that grass line instead of going in the woods, right? Or no?
It depends upon what I like. But
I know.
yes,
It's a feel thing.
It is a feel thing.
It's a feel
It's
thing.
a feel thing.
Yeah. You know, you have a guy standing. Imagine you have a guy in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana. He's standing in a woods, and he's standing.
And it also depends upon a sun thing. You know,
Go into that.
So if I'm going to be
real quick, I'm going to use the restroom. Go on. Tell Chris.
If I'm going to be if my mineral site's here and it's getting blown out by the east sun, you know, which matters when you're doing your camera. You don't want, you know, freaking 100 pictures of sun pictures. I like to be pointing to the south or the north. So, so whenever I do a mineral site, I usually have a tree in mind as well. So a tree that my camera is going to go on. So, and I'm a like that camera guy, you know. I'm kind of a high camera guy,
Right.
Eliminate squirrels and, you know. Now, that's not saying that I might not get a mineral site in and back right behind is a tree like this, and a squirrel uses it every single day going up and down the tree, and I get freaking 200 pictures of a damn squirrel. But you try to whenever I do the mineral site, it's the location of the tree that I want to put my camera on, and a little bit of everything, I guess. So the perfect, and and then now that's saying that I might not have put in mineral sites that I thought were kind of an epic fail and not as good as I thought they were, and I might tweak them or move them for the next year.
Does that? Oh, for the next year.
For the next year, but once I get a good mineral site that's every year, then I just roll with it.
Let me ask you this: if you have a good mineral site, do you kind of touch it up through hunting season too?
You get so busy that you don't do that.
Should you?
I mean, I really don't have a camera on them to document that and stuff. That's something we need. You have an opinion on that?
I have an opinion.
I mean, I guarantee they might hit it.
Yeah. So there is a, and I don't want to give too much here, so I'm going to be vague. Sorry. It goes into our product line. Seasonal, right? So they need X in one season, and you can almost group it into two. We have 4 seasons as humans, you know, spring, summer, fall, and winter. But I mix those up. It's like my damn months. But a deer has seasons just like that, right? So they're craving, a buck is in full rut. Okay, I think people would be surprised by what a buck takes in on a full rut and what is important to him during a full rut.
He probably, I see that he goes, and then he might all of a sudden think he craves something like for a little quick hit.
Exactly.
Or something.
Yes. He needs to, even though everybody thinks, I think that this is
they'll lose 40 or 50 pounds.
Yes. And by the way, I'm going to give this little tip out. I learned from Travis Harshberger.
Yep.
Shout out Travis.
Yep.
We love Travis.
My local butcher that's about 2 miles down the road.
Yep. Travis is fantastic. He's great deer processing. His dad's doing some of the European skull mounts. Travis is a wealth of information. But Travis said, you want to know, and I think tell me if this is crazy or not, but Travis is like, you want to know when the rut's on? Contact your local butcher, and I will tell you by the deer that are brought in, buck specifically, how much fat and how much is off of them, right?
Yeah.
So if they're being killed, they're being brought in, and he can tell that they've they're in rut. It's based off
all their body fat.
Yeah. Exactly. Yep. He said, every year I can pinpoint when the rut is on.
I mean, when you kill them October the 10s to Halloween, they're a peak specimen right through there.
Right.
They're a peak specimen. After that, they can be ran down.
What dates did you say?
Probably I'd say October the teens through Halloween, right through there.
Yep.
Probably they're at their peak specimen. They've been in the gym working out their necks, and
last 4 years, that's when I've killed my bucks, and they're just ginormous. They're huge, and it's like, holy cow.
That's when they're peaked out.
Right there.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, did we pound minerals in enough? I think we did good.
Yeah, I do have one question.
Yeah.
How do you keep do you guys have a way that you try to keep the raccoons and other pests out of your mineral sites, or is it just something you can't defeat?
But raccoons are, I kind of think that Mother Nature did, because there's a lot of distemper that kills them. But no, I mean, raccoons don't hit the mineral sites that hard.
What
Raccoons
does?
Don't.
Does anything other than deer? Or just you're just saying tree position and.
I mean, other animals will hit mineral sites, but I mean, not much. It's not like corn. The coons ain't on a mineral site like corn. Just kill them.
Yeah, just kill them all.
Yeah.
So, no, I feel good about mineral sites.
Do you feel good about minerals?
I do. I think, though, it's a good conversation.
But you talk about, it may have been, I don't know. We talked about doing turnkey. If somebody gets a property, where do you start? So if you just got permission for your little 50 or 60 acre property or whatever, mineral site, if you got permission in February, March, April, a mineral site is a good starting point for you to kind of know what's going on your new property.
So that's a good segue into what I want to ask about next. Chris, any other questions on mineral before I go? You good?
No, I'm good. Yeah.
Okay. So next segue is we are in, and I mentioned this on the last podcast, podcast, Joel Tito's Get Me. So Joel had said, you told me this in private. Hopefully you're not going to get upset by saying this, but you sent out 40 to 50 letters looking for new properties or developing some new properties in the last couple months, right?
Yeah.
So once
hard.
again, why it is hard, but it's available. You're trying to do it on a large scale. There
Correct.
is, if a guy wants to pick up a property or two or help out the
Correct.
farmer, there's
Yeah, yeah.
property to
Yes, there is.
hunt.
Yes. Yep.
Jesus, there's property. I get, once again, I get on my,
Especially if the person says, well, I got a brother that gun hunts, or but you're more than welcome to bow hunt, or
there's ways of wiggling around everything. If you're wanting to hunt, there's property. So the reason why I'm bringing that up is right now you're in the season where you're looking for new properties, or you started looking for new properties is,
I mean, I basically have a budget, I spend X amount, and it's just, when you've had places for 20 years and you have landowners that get old, you have people that pass, you have properties that sell, it's just the nature of the beast, you know? And last year you just have a good temperature that if you have a really good year, I probably could have, I could use about another 1 or 2 properties to, I needed about 3 or 4 more deer as I got to the end of the season.
And what I'm learning based off of what you're saying is just because you had a good year on one property doesn't mean the next year it's going to be the same on that property, right? Yeah, it's going to be. It could be your worst property.
Correct. I might have a 200 acre or 300 acre property that I didn't kill a deer on. I will. So business wise, I will, if there is nothing that I want to kill, we don't hunt there.
Really?
You follow me?
Yeah.
So in other words, I might pay $3,500 for a place.
Don't hunt it.
And I'm running cameras on it in case something shows up. We may rut hunt it, but I'm not early season hunting it because there's nothing there. And then I might run some cameras hoping something shows up during the rut. But then if not, then there's nothing. So it might not get hunted.
Right.
So then with that said, that property didn't get hunted. There might be 2 or 3 3-year-olds that, so correct. I might not kill 0 on a property and then it'd be a good year the next year on the property. You're planting crops and letting them grow.
Yeah, it's almost an investment for you. You understand your properties. You're investing in the properties. You understand the properties,
correct.
Right?
Yes, correct. Yep.
So my question, Jesus, we are beating around the bush to get to this question.
Because why tempt a hunter and even put him there?
Right.
So why tempt somebody? So you just don't hunt it.
Which goes back to what you said in the first podcast, which was I don't put anybody unless they're going out to kill.
Correct.
We have a plan to kill if I'm putting them out. Because they got 5 days? We never talked about that. What is
6-day hunt?
6-day hunt.
Monday through Saturday.
Through Saturday.
Yep. And he gave us the 50-minute here just a second ago.
Are we? I mean, we don't have to stop. I mean, are we okay? Or do you want to stop?
Keep rolling.
Yeah, I mean, this is good conversation, right?
This is
okay. I mean, but if you need to go, or
no, I don't have to go. I might have to pee again another one since I broke the seal,
right.
But I'm good.
Listen, I got a wife. Joel has a wife. Chris practically has a fucking wife. I mean, we're all pretty much wived up at this point. So, what time is it, Chris?
8:10.
Oh my God, that's an early night for us. Give me some, Joel.
It is.
Everything worked today. Everything worked. So you're a new hunter looking for property right now. Okay. What do you do? Okay, so we're backing up from mineral sites. We're like, I'm a new hunter. I'm picking up a bow like my buddy Ross I talked to you about that I want to get into hunting.
Yep.
What does he do, or where does he look on maps, Auditor, the apps? I mean, what do you do? What are you looking for? How do you find it? How do you even find perspective?
I mean, I have properties that I got from Google Maps. Just looking at Google Maps.
Because you know there's deer in the area, or you just
so if you want to be a rut hunter. So you basically want a property. So, in other words, if you go get permission for one little square of woods and you look and there's nothing around it, I mean, so you're going to basically kind of have your resident deer there, a couple deer, and that's it. So
Real quick, Joel, you're saying if you look on a map and you see a 20
little
acre,
20-acre piece of woods,
and then it's cornfields or whatever
right,
around
and there's
it,
nothing around it.
you're saying that's a good or a bad property?
No, I mean, you're basically hunting the the couple deer that's there, and you're not going to have a lot of rut travel through.
Okay, so you're not.
It depends upon what you're at. It depends upon if you are somebody looking to shoot a couple does, if you're looking to shoot a matured buck.
Your point is there might be a booner that lives in that woods, or there could be absolutely nothing.
Correct.
Absolutely nothing.
Correct.
So if there's no kind of, I call it texture, if there's no texture around you,
correct.
No other wood lines, no nothing.
I mean, I like a piece of property that has some stuff and some fingers going this way, some stuff and some a creek or fingers going this way or something going this way, and basically, right here where you have. So when it gets to be that November, the rut's on, that I have chances of these deer all coming through here.
Because, and this is something you taught me early on, we did a hunt in our local area, or not in our local area, but in our area, and you got permission, because last episode you said you don't hunt your leases. You got a 2-day, remember this? You got a 2-day. This is where I couldn't get the camera around.
Oh, yes. We were hunting on like 5 acres.
5 acres, so, and it was a finger. It was a finger.
So that was a landowner. That was one of my landowners that had a parcel here that I hunted, and they lived on like 8 acres, and they never really allowed anybody to hunt that little parcel. And after a good relationship of 5 years or whatever, I kind of talked them into it. But it was something where here, it had all of these houses, house. So basically, when it gets to be that, that time of the year from November the 14th to Thanksgiving, a lot of the does are bred. So if the biggest buck here lives and 3/4 of the does are bred, and a big buck lives here and all the does are bred, have come in or whatever, and then so this one wants to go check out this one's. Hey, maybe he missed one. He wants to go check out here. He wants to go check out here. So when you find that spot, then you just get in a tree and live in a tree.
You're saying it's like a travel corridor?
Yeah, kind of a travel corridor from topography, houses, whatever. I mean, and it don't need to be a lot.
We're not going to have enough time to get into this because
it don't need to be a lot.
You're talking about finding a finger during a certain time of the year. You said from November 14th to the 28th.
I mean, I kind of like November 16th through the 26th. Somewhere through there.
It's the corridor travel time.
Correct.
So
correct.
I mean, and so hunters.
And that's our Ohio dates.
Yeah.
That's our Ohio dates.
And I think everybody can kind of we're calling
Midwest.
We're calling that mid to late.
Mid-late rut.
Mid-late rut.
I mean, of the 200 inchers that clients kill, a lot of them have come through that. I mean, I killed mine, November 17th or 18th. My one customer that's killed 200s out of the same tree, they were both November 19, 20, both late teens.
You got a customer that killed 200s?
Out of the same tree.
Those are some damn good genetics, right? Jesus, did he give you
4 years apart?
Did he give you a hand job under the table, or was it luck of the draw?
Luck of the draw. Luck of the draw.
So, no, I think that, I mean, Chris, don't you agree that like hunters are kind of hunters? Because I feel like there's a gap.
You don't need to be. You can have 15 acres that hunts like 200 acres, are you following me?
Oh yeah. I definitely know what you're saying.
So that's kind of what I'm talking about is the 10 acres that hunts like 200. I mean, so when we were talking about the little square out in the middle of somewhere, that's 10 acres that hunts like 5 acres, that's kind of the opposite. Right. So
Yeah, I think Joel. So just to go into a little bit of me, so I know a little bit of what I'm talking about, but you know that I hunt small acreage, and I tried to find. And when I say small, I say like 5-10 acres. I tried to find 5-10 acres in the pre and kind of what I call the middle to late rut, like you're talking about those corridors.
Yep.
The reason why is because when you and I hunted, I learned that stuck in my brain. Did
Yep.
you? I got to ask, was that the buck we were hunting that came underneath the tree?
No.
That wasn't?
No.
What do you think that buck scored?
I mean, it was probably a booner.
Easily. Easily a
I
booner.
mean, it was a 70s, 80 deer.
What
Yeah.
were we hunting then?
A big deer. Yeah.
I mean, how big is it? 200 big?
I mean, a deer. I mean, we were looking for a deer with like 12-inch brows, 12.
Joel, you're saying because that buck was dual splits on both
He
sides.
did. He had double splits on both sides.
so
I do remember that.
Oh God, I remember.
Like it was just a stranger. I really didn't know that deer.
I mean, he was a stranger.
Yep.
So once again, perspective, people. That was a stranger buck to Joel Snow who knew the area, knew the property. Once again,
but
those fingers produce.
Correct. I mean, I had a camera rolling through there, but all you get are passerbyers, and they're usually through and on and moving on.
Let's tell that story. That was a great story. It was a fun. I know that I was. So I was very.
That was Corey's first. That was your first time ever filming me.
No, second
Second time.
Second time.
Was that the first time in a tree?
Second time we did a 1-day hunt. I can't even remember where. I wouldn't say where, but the first time we ever hunted together was in a tree, and it was kind of a very thick area off of a field, and you thought we were going to catch him coming into a bedding area. You probably don't even
I don't remember that.
Yeah, we got in, and like it was like we got in at like super early, and then it came like 9 a.m. and you're like, let's out. We're out because we were trying to catch him coming in. It was early season.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Early season.
Yep.
So, Corey, we got in this tree. We got in there or just cracking light or something.
No, we got in before because we had to hang all the camera. The cameras were this big. We had
because it was a big tree.
Huge tree.
Yeah, it was a big tree, and Corey asked. He asked me what the game plan was, and I said, planning on sitting all day. And he's like, I've never done that before.
I didn't even know that was the thing. I mean, God, I was 19 years old.
Yeah, and so was it? And another note with these spots is these spots are usually your buck's going to come through at 11 to 2.
It was 12:05. I remember you sending the text back to camp saying, we just had a booner at 12:05 and you all are eating lunch. And you were kind of, because I'll tell you, the story was Joel at the time, he says he wasn't. I think he was pissed at me. I think you were pissed at me because I couldn't get the camera around.
So this buck, I mean,
he come the complete wrong direction.
He came the complete opposite direction, and he come and I mean he put his head down in a creek to kind of come across the creek, and he's 10 yards. 10.
He ended up at the base of the tree looking up at us. And because I remember we had so much time, I'm trying to get the camera around, and I'm standing on a platform that I'm scared to death of because I'm not used to hunting those stands, and I'm all strapped in. And Joel, I remember saying, I just said shoot him because I couldn't get the camera on him. And I look down, I look away from the camera, and I look down, and I'm like, oh my God, I've never seen a deer like that. And Joel goes, I said, just shoot him. And you're like, full draw. No. And you're just, and I've never seen somebody have that kind of mentality to where at that time you were doing filming.
It was, so basically when you take I really didn't know if when I started filming, I didn't know it would become of that. You basically are film, and if it works out to kill him, you kill him. I mean, but if it don't,
in my opinion, that was a 180s.
Probably so.
That was a 180s
Probably
and a
so.
stranger buck to Joel. So I remember we're sitting there. Joel packed us some peanut butter. First of all, back all the way up because we got in the truck, and I'm a new hunter, right? And I got binoculars. I got like a grunt call and everything. I'm a new hunter. And we get out of the truck, and Joel walks around and he starts taking shit off me. He's like, "You don't need that. You don't need this. Your job is to film." And I'm like, "Yes, sir."
Cameraman don't take binoculars.
Yeah. I had everything. I was prepared. I thought I was going to shoot a deer. Apparently. So we walk, and by the way, Joel walks very quickly through the woods. You got to keep up, and he steps over sticks. He's very meticulous when he walks through the woods. So we're stepping very quickly, and I'm trying to follow his. And so we get to the tree, and I look up, and I go, "Is that where we're going?" And he's like, "Oh yeah." I mean, it was. My wife always says I'm exaggerating.
It was a big cottonwood tree.
Yeah, and it was a very thin wood line.
It was. There wasn't much there. We could almost shoot the whole thing.
From 50 yards to 50 yards.
Yeah.
Do you remember the woman was walking her dog? She walked her dog at like 11 o'clock, an hour before the buck come. You were like, oh my God, because we didn't hunt the day before. This was the second day. The wind was wrong for the first day, so we hunted the second day. And then all of a sudden we look up and the woman's walking her little.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
You remember that?
That's the same field where the people rolled in there and cussed us out, wasn't it?
No, I wasn't with you. Oh no, that was another story. That was when we did a late season hunt.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So I mean, we get up in this tree, we get the camera set. So I feel like it's an hour and a half. We're set, camera set. We're sitting in the stand, and we saw one deer besides that buck. We saw one small buck.
So when you hunt these places, you ain't going to see a lot of deer.
So Joel,
it's not a place where you're going to see a lot of deer.
You asked me a question. You said, when we got out of that tree stand, we got back in the truck, you said, do you want to see a lot of deer or do you want to kill big deer? And I'll never forget that question because I'm like, I want to kill big deer. And you go, then you hunt fucking spots like that. Because it was kind of a learning lesson for me.
Yeah.
And so the deer comes in from the complete
You're kind of bringing it to full circle right now. So basically, kind of where you are right now is from shit that you paid attention to me.
Joel, I don't think you understand how much I absorbed when I hunted with you. I really don't think you do. Like I look like when I drive my wife nuts. We're driving down the vehicle and I'll see a big woods, and a finger, and I'll go, that is the spot right there. And I'll go, and she goes, what do you mean? I go, during the rut, pre or post, right? And I'll say those things that you've repeated to me over the years because I did.
That's awesome.
I tried to absorb everything you told me when I spent time with you. Okay.
That's awesome.
That's a very true statement. And so, I mean, based off the properties I hunt now, that goes into
very much into that.
Yes. So, I mean, we couldn't get the freaking camera on the deer. And when it seemed like 10 minutes. It was
if it would have been a normal sized tree, you would have been fine. But it was such a big tree.
And it split.
And where I had you were good this whole way, except where he came from. And you just could not get.
And the cameras, once again, the cameras were this big, so there's no weaving. You're on a big camera arm. And so the deer comes from the opposite direction. And so I bring it around my body at that time, the cameras, and I'm trying to, and I can't. And I just, once again, Joel, full draw, and I said, just shoot him. And you said no. And then you let down. And it felt like a lifetime. That buck looked up at us for
He did. He went.
He just stared at us. And I'm looking down at the biggest buck I've ever seen in my life at that time. And I'm like, I can't believe Joel's not shooting. You let down the bow, you set down, and I'm like,
I was kind of expecting you to wrap my pull-up rope around your neck and jump.
I was. First of all,
I don't know if we could say that.
First of all, I wouldn't have jumped. I'm scared of heights, so I'd have done it a different way. But
Corey was upset.
I thought Joel was mad. I thought you were. We didn't.
Dude, that's part of the game.
I know. So weird because Joel just sat down, and then I sat down, and it was only like I said, 12:05. I remember that exact. You sent a text message back to the group, 12:05 p.m. By the way. And then we didn't see another deer. We saw one deer before that. We got back in the truck, and I remember we were driving home, and it was like 5-10 minutes. And I go, Joel, are you mad at me? And you're like, no, that's just, and you said that, you go, that's the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah, man.
And I couldn't believe that you held back and didn't kill a fucking 180. A 180 at the base of the tree, full draw. He's looking up at us. We're looking down at him, and nothing happened.
Trying to get him on video, man.
Oh man, on video. That's when you know you've killed too many big deer. When you can just, and also cool as a cucumber. No heavy breathing, no nothing. Just Joel just sits down. He's probably pulled out his peanut butter sandwich and just started eating it. I'm like, Jesus. So that was one of But to your point, I think if you have the opportunity, that kind of leads into something. If you have the opportunity to be around somebody that knows hunting and they know well, and they're not like the old bull stock, the chest pounder like we've talked about, you spend time with them because, another thing Chris and I were talking about is you get into the woods sometimes and you'll see the old stands, like the old
They usually mean a lot.
They usually did we not?
Like the one we just saw the other day.
Yeah. So Chris
The
and
one
I,
that has no trespass. The seat was a no trespassing sign.
yeah. So Chris and I were walking in the woods, and I said, "Look, there's a stand." We walked up closer, and we kind of evaluated the area, and I'm like, "This is a good spot."
Hold on. I drew that up. I want to see Joel's I want to get his opinion on it.
Yeah, give it to him. Give it to him. Oh, jeez.
But that 100% usually is, them
Oh,
are there because people have seen deer, yada, yada.
What'd you draw? Oh, you're drawing the new property?
That's the property. Yeah.
The new property? He knows the property. You know that. We've talked about this. I mean, but you drew it for him?
I kind of drew it for him because me trying to explain that property would probably take about a year.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a creek through there.
Yeah. Oh, no. It feeds into the.
Yeah.
Yep.
Into the.
Yep. So I think. Let me see it.
Hey,
Is it good or is it bad?
I'm not an artiste.
It's actually not bad. So yeah.
I'm just looking at that back corner for the most part. That's
You're
kinda-
talking about the circle that's to my bottom right. That's the before the where the concrete crosses.
That's yes. To the left
Yeah.
is where we walked in.
It looks
Yeah.
so good that you just need to, whatever's low impact, however you.
Well, is exactly what I said. We'll walk up the wood line. We'll pop in the back of the blind. We'll never enter
or
the.
use that creek or whatever.
So we need to. What the hell happened here? We need to finish the conversation before we end this podcast. We talked about pre and post rut properties, but going back to how do you pick properties, and then step it all the way back, Joel. Don't dig in, because we will dig in on a later episode. How do you pick a good property? How do you look at an aerial map, or what are you looking for while driving around? I mean, what is the perfect food, water? Maybe the amount of minerals in the soil in the area. I'm not saying, I know that we kind of, I'm just saying, what do you look for?
I like,
And talk about size.
I mean, I like stuff where you think a deer can live to be 4 or 5 years old.
What does that property look like? What is it?
So where can a deer live to be 4 or 5 years old?
Thick.
I mean, either no, or it can be close to towns. It can be properties that is no hunting. It can be just multiple things out there that is that a deer. So he may live his life out here, but when it's on or whatever, he has safety. So a deer can go to safety, be it close to town where the corporation limits no hunting, which is like our town, and or it could be my properties I have that way. It could be a park. There's a big giant 1,000-acre park outside of town or whatever. Just find stuff like that and get close to it. You don't have to be on top of it, but just get close to areas where a deer can get some age on him if you're after trophies.
Oh, that's a good comment. I like that comment. Something that protects the deer to a certain point that gives him a better chance of living older. That's practically what you said.
That's what I meant. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, look for something that gives the deer a chance to get older, a safety net.
Because around here, when they get to 5, pretty good chance they're going to be good.
Yeah, they've had a
good
safety.
chance they're going to be good.
They've had a safety
safety
net.
zone.
Yeah,
Got a safety zone.
Yeah, exactly. I love that.
And like I said, it could be a landfill. It could be a place that is 1,000 acres that's not hunted, or whatever, because there's a lot of places around here that is no hunting and stuff. So
right.
just kind of know them places and hunt. And so you want that Chihuahua Park is one that I'm near or whatever, and you just want that a deer's on there, and once the rut's on, he's leaving there,
right?
And just be on some properties nearby.
So bigger's not always better, right?
No, bigger's not always better.
It's strategic on where
I mean,
you're
it might be, if you're a beginner hunter, smaller might be better. Smaller might be better.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Chris, where are we at? We probably should end it
Yeah,
here.
I'm ready to wrap.
Yeah.
up
I do
whenever
have
y'all are.
I do have one quick.
Yeah. Give it to us.
Might not be a question for you guys. Might just be a question to see what, if any, when people view this, maybe they can type it in the comments. Might be a superstition. Do you believe in hunting opening day no matter what, or wait for the perfect conditions?
Oh, you're saying are you going to catch a deer, a mature buck slipping up on opening day?
Yeah, I mean, I take 3 people for the opener, and I mean, people are here for 6-day hunts, so we're hunting. But over all of our properties, if we have, if we're after 3 big targets, and if the wind's not right, and if things ain't right, we're hunting somewhere else. We're not hunting that deer. We're hunting that deer when things are right.
So you're saying even opening day,
If the wind's wrong, if things aren't right,
you ain't going in.
we ain't going in. Yes. Yeah.
That's a good-
We ain't going in.
To me, that's the right answer. But I thought there would maybe be I'm talking opening day. There's no lead way at all.
Well, I mean, bottom line, if you have 2 stands on your property, and where the deer are, I mean, there's a lot of people that don't hunt the wind. I mean, you have to, if the wind's not right, you are not hunting.
Yeah.
I mean, you're wasting your time.
So I'm going to add a little tidbit at the end in regards to the wind, because that's a big conversation. Once again, Chris got shots at 2 bucks this year because we documented the wind every day. I'm trying to pound this into people's head. I want to give it to them now, and I know I'm not telling you anything, but we documented the wind and we correlated it with deer showing up or the mature bucks that we were hunting, and then we hunted only when it worked on blind and tree placements that work for that wind. So you're saying even on day 1, you got to play the wind.
Got to play the wind.
Yep. So there's no freebies.
And we'll talk about that more to your point or whatever. I mean, killing a big deer is a meeting in the middle. I mean, they got big by not being stupid.
Right.
They're not walking with the wind at their ass. They're walking with, so you got to meet them in the middle.
Joel always said the bleeding edge. You always talked
Yeah.
about the bleeding edge of
Yeah.
wind and everything that was happening. So anyways, I thought that was a great episode.
Me too.
I thought it was awesome.
I kind of thought we would cover this and this and this, but I didn't. We were probably 45 minutes on minerals.
I
so.
think that's great because once again, we need to hit the things that people are doing right now. Finding the properties, the minerals, the cameras, once again, and then I want to recap. You said, when do you start kind of figuring out what deer are
Not till the end of June
June.
is when I can tell who's who.
Okay, so to give everybody one of my questions, I'm going to give Joel a question for next episode is we got to dig into food plots, baiting, and all the prerequisites of now. It's April, it's going into May, it's June. We got to figure out what to do now to be successful. So that's what we're going to be talking about for the next few episodes, okay?
Sounds good, man.
Hey, thanks, Joel.
Yep.